base, and then you can, yeah, you could get away with that. It's
Yeah,
totally
I think
okay.
that's fair. You know, I think that is entirely reasonable. All right, folks, we're going into our next game here. And yes, the portraits make sense this time. Masa with Nova and Major with the Battle Cruiser, which sounds... That sounds about right for Major. I'll go with that. Juanito Carlos. That is a name. Holy crap, that sounds like some kind of Mexican superhero. Juan Carlos Tena Lopez, coming to save the day from the cartels. He has the power of flight and also the power to win TBT. Will Masa be able to stand up to him? We're going to find out on Yonsu. It's going to be the first in our best of 5 series here. This will decide who goes to face tomorrow the champion of ShoutCraft America Season 1, Kane.
I don't like playing on this map because I really like it if I'm bottom left, and I hate it if I'm top right because I don't like playing on ice tile, so it feels like an unfair advantage. It's also a terrible map for Zerg, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty brutal things happening to Zerg players on this particular map, but Terran versus Terran, that's going to be a little bit more interesting, although if it becomes tank versus tank, I can guarantee that they're not going to want to take that nasty base with the big cliff that can get shot very easily. Alright, folks, we are going into this one very, very shortly indeed. Just getting used to game heart. There we go. Sorted! Here we are. Welcome to Yonsu. And both of these guys pick very similar colors, I assume, because they hate me and possibly colorblind people, but we will find out. What do we got, folks? We have for you a man that's actually not on a team right now, but he picked the clan tag Kazoo for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that's all about. To the southwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, it is Major. Versus his opponent. To the northeast position, some call him a ladder hero, but others have said in the Canadian tournament scene he is a dominant player indeed. Let's see if he can prove it. Returning from ShoutCraft America Season 1, where his potential was perhaps not truly realized, in the stylish purple trunks, playing Terran, it's ROOTMasa.
Juan's clan tag is actually back in Brood War. All of his IDs, most people know he's famous for like having a bunch of stupid IDs.
Yeah.
But most people don't know they're actually just copied off of random Brood War Terran players.
Okay.
And Kazoo was actually the tag of the Brood War pro player Major. So that's what he's doing with that.
You are basically the only person who could have possibly known that, so I think I
Yep.
chose my co-caster well for this one.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I think he was on Team We Made. He was actually a pro gamer. But yeah, no one else is going to remember him.
No,
he never did anything at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem likely. So we see already a bit of a difference in the builds here. We saw the gas first coming out here from Major.
Yeah, the gas first. I'm actually not sure what TVT is now. I tend to avoid watching it. And there actually haven't been too many Terrans playing each other in later rounds of tournaments. It's basically just been like innovation, making it through and everyone else losing.
Yeah.
Since the last patch. Terrans have been kind of having a tough time. I have to imagine that Banshees are amazing in this matchup now, though. They straight up buff themselves. And mech, especially mech that incorporates Banshees, is even better than before with a combination of the ground and air mech upgrades. So maybe with that early gas, Major's just going to be headed up for quick cloak Banshees. And then Masa, not sure what he's going to be doing. He might still be Banshee as well.
That's a possibility. We actually saw Taja for quite some time going for that Cloak Banshee and like losing almost every TBT he did with it until he eventually decided that's probably not a good idea anymore. One of the most recent examples of that would be where he tried it twice against Hart in WCS, Season 3, Round of 8, and Round of 16, in fact, and lost 2-0 as a result of doing that. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. There was definitely a period of popularity there in TBT where that would happen. And then suddenly it seems like a lot of the times it isn't working properly, and as a result, we're seeing a few of those Terran players move away from it.
No one told Major about that, apparently.
No,
He
apparently
does have
not.
the second cast coming down and the starport coming up, so definitely going to be Cloak Banshee from him. And just normal, well, not normal completely, but Barracks CC from Masa with a quick gas in order to get some extra Marines out and then get into the factory as quick as possible. And I don't know, just in theory, it seems like Banshee should really totally be worth it TBT. So it may have been a situation where it was just so good that everyone did it every game and people started to hard counter it.
Kind of a metagame too, yeah.
Yeah, that can kind of happen where a strategy is legitimately really good, but if it's predictable, then it's just not so good.
A little bit of lag there from the admin if that happens again. Oh, he's gone already. Yeah, he's been our admin now for, I think, about 5 ShoutCraft tournaments, so he knows when to GTFO.
That's very nice of him. We do see the cloak immediately starting. And that's a very quick command center from Masa. And I don't know, I kind of like this for him. He's going to have a lot of Marines out because of that early reactor, and he's going to have the very early second command center. So with that Marine count, should be able to hold on. And Widow Mine's coming out too, so that's going to help as well. If he accidentally runs into a Widow Mine, that could be the end of him. So I don't know, this is going to be kind of scary for Major. He really needs to make something happen here. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he can actually execute that properly. As the Marine makes his way up to the Zelnaga Watchtower, of course our beautiful sponsor logo right there, and gets a few bullets for his trouble, so Major's certainly going to get the better end of that engagement. Currently, Masa playing in the dark. He did get that scout off, and he did see the fact that it was gas first, which does tend to lead you to the belief that it's probably going to be a Banshee. Interestingly, though, Major's actually going to only build a single Banshee. He's still going to get Cloak, but he's going straight into a Raven.
That's very interesting. It used to be that if you get that early Raven, it almost 100% means you go into a quick Siege Tank plus Marine plus PDD and maybe with some medevac support or something like that. That kind of push. And we do see a Tech Lab coming down on the factory from Major, so that could be the case. Reactor Marines coming out as well. It actually definitely seems like that's a possibility. And eBay already finished from Masa. He 100% knows what's going on. But Major, with only the one Banshee, I'm not sure how much he really cares, because he's more setting up for the later attack than he's actually going hard with this Banshee.
Do you think
and
it's
a Raven
worth...
coming out from Masa as well.
Indeed. So that's not going to last too long. Oh,
wow.
Ouch. Well, that's that. That got in range of the section and the Widow Mine goes off. I was about to say, do you think the Cloak was worth it? But I think obviously it wasn't. But let's assume that did a decent amount of damage. Do you get Cloak for only a single Banshee, knowing you're only going to get a single Banshee? And is it actually even worthwhile to do that? Will that investment actually put him back in any way?
I think it definitely puts him back. I mean, it's still, I believe it's only 100 gas now. I'm not entirely sure. That's still a pretty decent commitment, but it forces out a response from your opponent. We see the early eBay, the early turrets. He spent some scans. He got some Widow Mines out. So it forced a lot of a response. And if he hadn't lost the Banshee essentially for free, it would have been pretty okay for him. But it is still an investment. You can't lose it for absolutely nothing. And here comes that Marine Tank Raven push. The Raven going to help take it. Ooh. That's very unfortunate for Major. He actually just at the end of that Widow Mine's existence, managed to get a shot off on the Raven.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage being done to it. It's not down, but it's definitely in a position where something like a Viking, which Masa does have, is going to pretty much one-shot that. So he would have to be the quickest man on the trigger when it comes to PDD in the history of ever if he wants to try and keep that Raven alive. Siege Tank is now coming into position, and, well, there's certainly going to be no PDD. He decides to put down 2 auto turrets.
I like that. The PDD doesn't actually, there's nothing that really helps with too much here, so that's just a little extra presence there. You're just going to kind of contain him, get his own expansion up, try and play a little bit of catch up on the economy. And the Raven is still alive, so he will be able to take out that Widow Mine. Oh, not alive for long.
Not anymore. And the Viking War is going to be lost there by Major, as you can see, trying to pull back to the, I'd say, relative safety of the auto turrets, but they do only really tickle. So they're going to be providing some supporting fire. The Widow Mine goes off, doesn't really kill a huge amount, although it does weaken those Marines. Supply Depot's dying at a fairly rapid rate. Masa actually supply blocked now heavily as a result of that. And I wonder if now's the time, where Major, I was going to say where Major backs off, but he actually wants to get even more entrenched down here.
Yeah, he's just kind of repositioning so that if Masa actually wants to try and get in tank range of Major's tanks, he's going to be sitting himself on top of that ramp. It's a little bit of a bottleneck. He's not going to be able to run the Marines down there safely. Major, his Marines are a little bit far forward, though. He has to be careful.
Ooh.
And he loses 3 of them.
Yeah, well, they were injured earlier from that Widow Mine shot, so that actually did matter. That single shot does kill a bunch of them, and now Major just has to leave, otherwise he's going to lose everything else. But and that's a massive amount of delayed time there. The CC has really been gone from that natural for about 2 minutes, which is significant, and the CC for Major is now fully mining, so... Hunter Seeker missile actually going into the center of the mineral line. However, Major does notice it and reacts very quickly.
Yep, nicely done by him. He is mechanically just almost impeccable. Very, very good player mechanically. Very fast, multitasking-wise, APM-wise. You really need to mess with him and make him do funky stuff, make him uncomfortable if you want to beat him. And actually another Banshee coming out from him here. Not sure how much that's going to do. The Raven is out across the map, so no immediate detection. Missile turret coming down, though. Going to get a few SCVs for sure, but probably going to die for it. I don't know if I really like that from him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just was saying to himself, look, I got the cloak so early, I've really got to make use of it in some way, but that's not really going to happen. If he shut down the SCV building the missile turret and forced kind of one of those weird pulls where all of the SCVs get a bit of a mosh pit going on trying to build the missile turret, maybe that would have worked out, but that's going to get shot down almost. Major, good control there, I've got to say. Gets himself into a decent spot to pick off a few more SCVs, forces yet another pull. In the meantime, the army is posturing across the map.
Yeah, this actually turned out way more effective than I really expected. It cost 2 scans, Marines, SCVs. But Masa's actually getting set up down here. He has to be careful, because he only has 2 tanks against 5. So if Major gets himself in position, he can just completely wipe out this army.
Yeah,
but that command center is really getting in the way. That's really unfortunate for Major.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait a good 25 seconds for that to actually get airborne so he can get his tanks in optimal positions, which is allowing Masa to shell. It is denying a little bit of gas mining there, making sure that any stray SCVs get picked off. Hasn't done a huge amount of damage as of yet. Now he's been able to push forward and is working on the second refinery here. And the command center is done, and he's actually going to go straight into orbital, so he evidently likes his position. He's leaving 2 tanks at home and is now pushing out himself across the map.
Yeah, I find this really strange from Major. He could absolutely wipe that army out. He has a massive tank advantage, similar Marine counts. Opting for the counterattack instead, and I feel like Masa is going to be able to hold that off pretty easily. He doesn't have a ton of units, but with the defensive position, should be enough. And he's just going to deny all the gas mining down at Major's natural. And looks like Major's actually going to try an elevator up into the main. But Masa's pretty ready for it. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would work all that well. Major trying to scare his opponent, thinking, oh, there's going to be a drop on the tank there. But Masa's still sitting down there. There's no gas mining now going down at the natural at all because both the refineries were killed off. That could certainly hurt in the long run here. Here comes the elevator play. And Major now making his way in. A second medevac is intercepted there. This tank is at a pretty damn good spot, I gotta say. That was actually really nice from Major.
Yeah, a really good position. This map is absolutely amazing for this kind of elevator play. It's just not a ton of units. I'm not sure if he's really going to do enough. Oh, he's actually isolated this one tank, so he's going to kill that off for sure. And Major slowly but surely picking away at Masa. Masa not really with the best positioning or the best awareness reaction time. And Major is definitely making this work at this point.
Well, the drop comes in, and it's going to kill off only one tank, though, so Major is definitely in a good spot. Masa's army's just kind of trapped across the side of the map here. He's not moved the tanks, he's not done anything with them, not even doing anything with the Raven that's actually sitting at full energy. Could drop auto turrets into that natural here. Seems like he's just fully focused on defending, and Major's pulling it to pieces with some pretty damn fantastic multitasking.
Absolutely. A third command center already up and mining from Major. He's really just kind of exploded here. He went from a pretty equal position where he had been playing catch-up successfully, and all of a sudden he's 30 supply ahead with complete control of his opponent's bases, a massive economic advantage, better production, just better everything. Major is really just picking into pieces here.
Yeah, Major is, as I think, as most people know, is considered by many to be the best foreign Terran right now. His TBT in particular, I think, will show it. He regularly beats Korean Terrans in this matchup, and Masa made some kind of questionable decisions, and we kind of doubted Major, but we shouldn't have, because there's the GG, and Major takes a commanding game 1 here on Yonsu. That absolutely seems to be the case. Major just, after about the, say, 6, 7, 8 minute mark, once the Banshee stuff was done, and once he had sort of restabilized, he looked great. He really did. And that's scary. I mean, if that performance is anything to go by, then Major is a really, really strong competitor to take this whole thing.
Yeah, because it wasn't like he was just dominant from the start. He opened up with like a little bit of a risky build order and aggressive build order. He had some slip-ups. It didn't pay off at all. He was not in the best situation. No panic whatsoever, just doing exactly what he needed to do to get himself back in the game, and not just like get back into the game. He all of a sudden had a massive advantage, like out of nowhere. It was honestly very impressive how quickly he turned that around, and to the extent. It wasn't like he clawed his way back into even. He clawed his way back to a 40 supply plus some base advantage. And we actually get a really fast proxy depot from Masa, so that's going to probably turn into proxy Reaper, I think. I'm not sure why else you would build the depot out there except to get the SCV out very quickly. But I don't know, that's strange. I'm not as familiar with TVT build orders as the Zerg matchups.
It's a little unusual to see the supply depot put out like that. I mean, because really there's kind of, I suppose there's no need to do it. Maybe it's slightly more efficient. There's nothing really stopping him just using an SCV at home. This is 10-10 though. This is a 10 gas coming down here from Masa. This is This is a little odd. I mean, it's got to be Proxy Reaver, surely.
Yeah, certainly it'll be Proxy Reaper. He already has the barracks rallied into his main. I'm kind of confused by that depot, because in TVZ you'll get builds where they do that, where they build the depot, but they do that because they rush the SCV into your main and then build the depot, and they have to send the SCV out so early to get it into their main that it's more efficient just use its time to build the depot at that point. But here, I'm not really sure why, but whatever the reason for that, he will end up sending a quick Proxy Reaper in. And did he go gas first? No, it looks like a barracks first from MajOr this time, so he has the opportunity to defend it. He's not playing a very greedy build order as he did last game, and he does have Marine started immediately, so should be pretty okay for MajOr here, I think.
Yep. This is, of course, the two-player version of Star Station, so scouting is going to be a little bit easier here for MajOr. MajOr's going to go in there and see not a thing. Nothing. Like, oh, well, there's gas, but not a single supply depot has been made here. Something is really, really going wrong. So I am interested to see whether or not MajOr's actually building a Reaper of his own there. As you can see, and Masa is just scouting out here with his SCV. He'll probably use the SCV up the ramp. There's a single Marine here from MajOr, which will not be enough to defend. He's looking for a bunker on the high ground here, I think.
It does look like it. I don't know. He's not really saving up the resources. He could have dropped already. He has another barracks coming down in his main, so no. Not going to do anything with it, and not even going aggressive with the Reaper right away. I'm not sure if that was just bad multitasking on his part, or what. But now a Reaper already out from MajOr, so this is going to accomplish absolutely nothing from Masa.
What? Yeah, I'm wondering what exactly the end plan of that really was, because it does result in, as you said, pretty much nothing. The two Reapers are going to make their way in and maybe pick off an SCV or two at most here, but there was no attempt to build that bunker on the high ground, just kind of sat around with it for a while.
Yeah, he accidentally got one SCV kill because MajOr was being sloppy, but oh, that was
nice
actually
control.
Quite nice from him there. And he's continuing Reaper production, so if he gets a little bit of an advantage like that and it continues to have good control, he can really snowball. But here we see MajOr actually is going up to 3 barracks, and Masa has a second barracks going, and he's continuing reproduction from both, and then going up into a factory. So this is going to be kind of weird. This is very dangerous for MajOr, because I think he might just get out-reapered early on, and then the factory's going to kick in, and he's not really going to have too much he can do about it.
Yeah, that's a possibility, and I did talk about the speed, I suppose, and the control of Masa. It's not something we really got to see coming, but now it's going to be 3 Reapers at a time coming out from MajOr, and 2 coming out from Masa. There's a Hellion being added in, though, which does kind of throw a spanner in the works, but does this even do anything? I mean, there's those 2 Reapers coming out, Masa trying to engage again, doesn't really get anything out of it.
No, he doesn't, but he has that faster tech going, which I like, because the fact that he has 2 barracks Reaper and he had a 1 Reaper advantage early on, that means that a 3 barracks Reaper from MajOr, I don't think is going to be able to do any damage. Oh, he does pick off 1 there, so that's quite nice for him. But with that 3 barracks Reaper, I don't think MajOr's going to be able to do anything, because he's not going to have that much of a Reaper advantage early on until the factory actually kicks in, and then that immediate tech advantage is going to be a big deal. We already have a Starcraft.
Hellion comes out and gets a pretty decent shot here, and that's a pretty close one, but actually MajOr does come out on top of it after Masa. No, never mind, he doesn't. He's trying to chase him down, takes out the last Reaper, and everybody's dead now.
Everybody indeed, except for that one lone Hellion, that hero. A command center coming up from MajOr, and no tech whatsoever. I have to imagine, oh, he does scan the starport, so at least he knows what's going on. But a starport is already finished, and no factory, just now starting a factory for MajOr. So I don't really like that for him, but it is just going to be a medevac. He's not like going up into Banshee or anything that's going to be too hard to defend. These Hellions, I don't know. I don't know what MajOr can do about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now, it seems almost like Masa has forced an overcommitment to a really nasty unit choice. And as a result, these Reapers are going down pretty hard. He's losing a lot of gas from each of them. And the Hellions are doing a great job getting another few shots off, killing a couple of SCVs. More come in here. That's just a gift right here that MajOr is giving to Masa.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like he was forced into an awkward unit choice, but he wasn't really forced into it. I don't see the necessity to go 3 barracks there. It feels like he was trying to capitalize on it and go for the kill afterwards. But I don't know, Masa maybe just good mind games, actually going 2 barracks Reaper himself and keeping himself alive in time for the factory to kick in.
That's the GG. Hey. Well, Masa seems to have found a hole in that armor there. That interesting early game choice actually evens up the series 1 apiece.
He can pull himself back into it and play more of a normal game this time.
Definitely a possibility. Now, since MajOr, of course, has other commitments, we're going to go right into this. So no ads for you folks. You can thank Ting for that, as far as I'm concerned. They're the one who sponsored this tournament, so we're going right in on this one. Don't worry, you'll get your ads later. Everything will be fine, but we just need to try and get right back into the series as quickly as possible for our players. And then, of course, we will be bringing you Muslim and Huck and Hitman and Scala, too. Unfortunately, I just found out lost in the finals of Asus ROG.
That is very unfortunate for her, but she will get to console herself by coming and winning this tournament afterwards, so there's a silver lining.
She just came on the Skype chat and just said, I'm ready. Like, oh, I don't care that I just lost the finals of a major tournament. Let's go, let's do it. So that was an interesting choice there. Anyway, we're going into this map right here. As you mentioned earlier, it is indeed Polar Night, and it's currently 1 apiece in this particular series after Masa pulls out something very interesting indeed. So, welcome to Polar Night. It's my pleasure to bring you Kazoo MajOr, as he likes to call himself. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran to the south of this particular map, Polar Night, versus his opponent to the north position in the orange trunks this time around. I think I gave him too much freedom, IdrA. I'm sorry. They're just changing their colors all the time. Like, I'm really confused now. Don't worry. There's a nice little indicator down the bottom. It is ROOTMasa, who pulled some very interesting proxy nonsense.
And he's starting out with an early gas here, so continuing to switch up the build orders. Not the same kind of thing. Not quite as cheesy as the last game. Maybe going for Banshee himself this game, whereas MajOr hasn't put down a gas just yet, so maybe a Barracks CC. And on such a small map, I'm not sure how much of a risk that is. He may be leaving himself a little bit vulnerable. But MajOr definitely knows what he's doing build order-wise. There are very few players, especially very few non-Korean players, who really study the game as much as he does. He, like I've said, he doesn't really think on his feet particularly well, but he puts a lot of time into figuring things out and thinking things through beforehand, really studying build orders, trying to find the most efficient things. And he does actually drop a gas a little bit later. So this is actually looking like a reverse of the first game. Kind of just switching build orders and going with it.
Yep, that is certainly true. Apparently I was reading about the Asus ROG award ceremony, which apparently consisted of Jaedong getting the trophy, 45 seconds of speech, and then the stream dying. So we'll do our best, folks, to provide you with a comparable experience.
I don't know what is it about esports and what makes for such terrible award ceremonies, I don't think I've seen a single one that actually felt good.
I would probably say that the Red Bull one was pretty good, but that really helped in the fact that everyone was drowning in confetti shooting from the ceiling. So I think that really makes anything better. You just have to obfuscate
things enough that no one can tell what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of, okay. The
stream kind of goes really pixely because it can't handle all of the crazy nonsense that's going on, so the artifacts go on, and nobody notices just how awkward everything is. But it's, yeah, that one went pretty well. DreamHack has a history of doing things really badly in that respect, but I almost think they embrace that.
It's all because of his obsession with the champagne thing.
Yes.
I blame it entirely on that.
I spoke to Robert Olin about that recently, and he's like, we are not stopping doing that. Screw you, this is our thing. It's like,
he absolutely loves it. Yeah, he's never going to give that up.
No, he embraces the awkward in that respect. Oh, well, welcome to all of you who are tuning in from Asus ROG NorthCon. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We will be having Scarlet. She is ready to play. So we might very well be having Scarlet on next. We'll try and keep you up to date on the schedule. We obviously want to make sure that you guys can also see the Muslim Huck, because that's going to be very interesting indeed. But in the meantime, we have Masa MajOr, which is actually one apiece. If anyone was expecting a one-sided affair, it is not. Masa is the one actually going for Cloaked Banshee this time around.
Yeah, it is actually exact reverse of their build orders in the first game. MajOr going for the Marine Heavy, slightly delayed factory, along with a very quick expansion, that Cloaked Banshee. Interesting to see if Masa commits more to the Banshees than MajOr did, because MajOr only made that single Banshee, just failed miserably with it, then got out a quick Raven and used that to set up a bit of a containment and equalize for himself. Masa hasn't queued up a second unit yet in that starport, so we're not sure what he's going for. He is going for a faster expansion than MajOr, so he's not going to go for that quick follow-up push that we saw there. Actually, nothing else besides the Banshee coming out from him yet unit-wise. No add-ons, no nothing.
It certainly seems like a decent move here, I think. MajOr with the Tech Lab, and that's going to be a swap around. I imagine that's going to be for a Raven.
Probably, most likely. It'd be very strange to go Banshee unless he just had like absolutely no read on his opponent and doesn't know what's going on. But his scouting SCV now sees the Banshee, so if he didn't know before, he knows for sure now. He definitely should be getting a Raven there. I'd be very surprised if he didn't at this point.
Yeah, Major's going to use that factory to build a single Widow Mine as well, just to try and help him out. He's got a lot of Marines on the field already, and Masa's going to be extremely careful. Good control there from Masa so far, however. He's certainly been demonstrating that throughout the series. Another Marine goes down. This is infuriating. The Major can't actually fight near that cliff unless Masa makes a mistake, and Masa can kite that all day.
He can. He has Cloak now. He has not used it yet. Not going to need to, but he chooses to anyway, just to make it a little bit easier for himself. His control had been really quite good before that, but the Raven already over halfway done. So as long as he can keep some units alive, although at this point that's looking a little bit questionable.
Ooh. That was a close one.
Oh,
wow.
and the Banshee just survives.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's killed 9 Marines so far. I mean, that's been a pretty decent investment from Masa so far. He's going to take an SCV out as well. Raven's about to pull. I would expect actually an auto turret to come out immediately, or he's just going to lose it. That will work too. So there you go. But there's a second Banshee, and Masa comes in from the back, something a little bit unexpected. I think he realized, oh, well, this is going pretty well. Let's try that one again.
definitely worked out with him. He's only gotten, I believe, 2 SCV kills thus far, and he is going to get chased off here with that Raven out with the continued Marine production. Not going to accomplish anything else. He is continuing to produce Banshees, so he has a third one on the way, almost completed. So he's really kind of committing to this, and there's actually a Widow Mine right under there.
Yeah, that is not where you want to be hanging out with 5 energy left on your cloaking device, but Masa is able to pull that back, and he could probably just get out of there now. Resources lost, I think, is what tells the story there. It's currently 6 workers have been killed, which doesn't sound like a lot, but he did kill a huge number of Marines and almost basically 1,000 resources worth from his opponent. It is only minerals, but at this stage of the game, I feel like that matters.
Oh, minerals in TBT early game certainly matter. It's very, very Marine heavy. Everything's about getting your economy up, the SCV production, the command center production. And he's going to do more damage here. He has another Banshee poking in. He's going to attack both mineral lines at once if he can. And that's just going to continue to mount. And he already has secured himself a worker lead, an economy lead, a pretty big one, in fact, with his... Oh, wow, he actually has a 3rd CC done already. I kind of missed that before. That's a huge economic lead for Masa going into this. Plus, there's no way he's going to take any damage. He already has tanks in a bunker up, plus the Banshees for map control. This is going pretty well for him.
Oh man, Masa's Banshee control is fantastic, and this has got to be infuriating for Major, who's not been able to deal with those Banshees all that well at all. But as you said, that 3rd command center just sitting there pretty, and everything is coming up Masa right now.
Yeah, he's accelerating massively in terms of economy. He was at a 35 to 30 lead. He's now up to a 43 to 30 lead. He did lose 1 Banshee as he was poking in the main and the natural at the same time. But at this point, they have already served their purpose. They gave him the map control. They gave him the economy that he really wanted out of them. So at this point, anything else is just extra.
Yeah, there's actually no scan energy either, so this Banshee's going to town. Like, Master's like, okay, I'm going to force a scan out of you, but as it turns out, it's going to get more kills. 13 kills, 14 now on the Banshee. It goes finally down, but 17 workers killed in total, 29 to 44. Everything is in favor of Masa right now, with the exception of army supply, but it doesn't seem like Major could turn that into anything at this point.
No, he's down in terms of tanks, and this is not a map like Yunsu or... I forget which map it was. I believe it was Yunsu. It's not a map where you have that massive exposed perimeter you can really set up and make something happen early on, just purely on the basis of positioning. Masa, he can just brute force his way through anything that Major tried to set up. And Major not even trying to move out, not even looking for that. Actually putting up a bunker, so he's feeling kind of defensive himself. And when you're down that far in economy and you're playing defensively, that just does not work out well for you. That 3rd CC lifted up, headed on over, and a 3rd CC just now starting from Major. Plus all the production coming up from Masa. If he goes out and sets up a contain before that 3rd CC lands, he might just be able to hold on to it and go for the win based off that. And his army is actually moving out, I'm going to say that.
Major took a significant amount of damage on that Banshee. The other one, however, did do some damage in the main. There's been 10 workers killed up to this point, which is allowing Major to kind of get back into it, but he's up against CC triple orbital production, and Masa is not remotely scared of building turrets, which is something that Major has been avoiding up to this point. I assume because you'd like those minerals to replace the Marines that were killed off by those Banshees earlier. But Masa's going to push out, and as you said, he's got a pretty massive tank advantage. You does not want to wonder there. That is not a good place to be. But he says, you know what, I'm going to take those shots, and I'm going to return fire. I'm going to lose a tank, and I'm going to take out yours.
Yeah, trading one tank for 2 there, and securing himself a pretty good position if he wants to. Definitely well worthwhile for him. And this is actually looking like just a complete mirror of the previous game. Although with that Banshee up, he may be able to make something happen here.
Oops, secret missile.
On the tanks, that's cute.
Oh, that's going to hurt a lot. Oh, nice.
Wow.
That almost took out the entire tank line there. I'm quite surprised Masa decided not to move away from that. But he didn't really have much of a choice. And Masa now elevating in here. MajOr in a decent defensive position, and it looks like he's going to hold that one.
Yeah, he took out all of those tanks. A pretty equal trade unit-wise, I think. Lost an extra tank or two. But really, the bigger thing is just that MajOr could have ended up in a very terrible position there. That army could have just contained him and denied his third absolutely forever.
Yeah.
And could have just served as a basis for Masa to rally to and continue to get bigger and bigger. But as is, MajOr can now go ahead and take his third base. He's still definitely behind. About 20 supply behind overall, about 9 workers behind, and with a slower third base, so certainly noticeably behind. But he has room to actually make something happen here. He can kind of try to play his way back in instead of just batting his head against a big unbreakable containment force. So, I don't know. At least there's some light at the end of the tunnel for MajOr. If Masa had executed that properly, I think he could have just won on the back of it.
Yeah. I like the fact that MajOr's actually really made this Banshee count as well. He's forced a lot of scans out of Masa, but hasn't actually lost the Banshee in the process. So every time that's happening, he's able to really get a little bit of an edge back and just kind of claw his way back in there. So things are not looking terrible for MajOr. But as you said, the supplies do tell a pretty ugly story there. Masa is going to attempt to deny this third base, and he's certainly got the units to make this a little bit of a pain here for MajOr, but I don't think he's got the units to fully stop it.
Masa really kind of split.
Oh,
wow.
apparently so. MajOr just GG's immediately there.